Hey everyone, I am back with another update on the Arizona real estate market here in the Phoenix area. And I wanted to start out and kind of compare, now that we've finished the first quarter of 2025, I wanted to kind of take a look at this and see how this compares to the same time last year and maybe even the year before, just to see what type of trends that we're seeing more recently. Because if you've been following along, you know that I've been looking at the available inventory. And of course, we know that it's the spring market, so it's not uncommon to see that inventory increase. However, we've seen it increase quite more significantly this year than we have in years past. Just a few weeks ago, we had surpassed 26,000 properties that were for sale within our MLS, which was the most that we've had, since COVID time. So it's been quite a few years. Right now, because at the end of the month, we do see a lot of listings typically expire from the market. What that means is that the listing agreement with their agent had expired and that property did not sell. And what I found interesting about this was that in the first quarter of 2025, we had a total number of expired listings of 1,981 properties. And that's a little bit, well, it's significantly more than what we saw the year prior. The year prior, we had 1,314 properties, which expired in that same time frame. So you do have properties that come off the market as a result of that, which is why now we're sitting at 25,627 in terms of available listings for sale. We did also notice that the canceled listings, this is where the agreement was maybe just canceled. The seller said, I'm not going to sell. That's usually kind of the case in terms of what happens. And for the first quarter of this year, we saw more than 4,000. It was 4,452 properties that were canceled. So they came off of the MLS, versus last year, which was 3,411. So you're seeing, maybe these sellers are kind of testing the market. They realize, hey, maybe I'm not going to get my price or as much as I thought I could sell this home for. So maybe their plans change, or maybe their plans just change and it has nothing to do with the money side of things. But I did want to kind of share that with you because it does have an impact on the market. So let's take a look at 2025 in the first quarter. And while I do this, I actually want to show you some of the differences between the overall market as well as what we're seeing in a portion of the luxury market, at least with the time that we have together today. So when I look at just the market overall, and I'm going to go into the closed sales, I'm going to choose the first quarter of this year, January 1st. And we're going to take that through March 31st of 25. So you'll notice that within our entire MLS, we had 17,485 properties close and sell. So this is a really good indication as to the level of demand that's out there right now. And to give you a point of reference, last year in the first quarter, we saw a total of 16,976 homes close and sell. So you can see we have about 500 more closings this year than we did for the same time last year. And when we look at the statistics, right, this is like our median sales price, things like that. That's important to look at as well. Valley-wide for 2025 in the first quarter, our median sales price was $455,000, where last year it was $440,000. So we did see an increase in the median sales price of $15,000. Now, does that mean that the values are still increasing? No, it does not. That actually means, the market is still shifting, and this is very specific to zip code, to geography, which would be zip code, of course, but also price point, right? So let's take a look at the luxury side of the market and see just what's happening there, because what I've noticed this year versus last year is a significant change in the activity. So it's really important, I think, to note this. And the luxury market does have an impact, of course, on those metrics overall across the valley. So I'm going to take a look at our zip code 85255, which you will see based on the map here. This is the northeastern section just above the 101 freeway, and it includes areas like McDowell Mountain Ranch, DC Ranch, Greyhawk, up into Pinnacle Peak Estates, and then even, as far north as Desert Highlands, as well as Troon Village and just south of that. So it's a pretty large area, actually, geographically. But what's interesting is that this year we had 300 properties sell within the first quarter. And what we see in terms of the median sales price, we had a median sales price of $1,345,000. That's for all of those 300 properties that sold. And if I adjust this now to where we were last year in 2024, we had a total number of 238 properties sell. So this year we had 300, right? That's an increase of more than 25%. So the activity has definitely seen a surge this year over last year. And again, this is the luxury market. So I'd love to hear your input on why the luxury market is doing so well in terms of activity. Do you think it's related to the stock market? Do you think maybe the wealthy just have more wealth, and they have the ability to purchase these homes now? I don't know, but I'd love your opinion. So we can see though that the median sales price in 2024 was $1,369,000. And if we compare that to where we were this year, because I didn't write it down, I didn't take a note, I have to go back to it. So we went from $1,369,000 in 2024, and in 2025 we are at $1,345,000. So we actually saw the median sales price come down just a little bit, relatively flat, but a little bit less than what it was last year. And maybe, I don't know if that's the reason for a 25% plus increase in activity, but I'm sure it's welcomed by many buyers who are looking to purchase a home in these areas. And then I also wanted to show you two other zip codes because I think it's important to see this too. So we did 85255, and now let's take a look at 85262. 85262 is going to cover areas like Troon, in and around where the True North Golf Club is. So you have the Monument, Candlewood, and it goes as far north as Legend Trails as well as Desert Mountain, and then east into that real northeastern corner near Rio Verde, that's still considered Scottsdale. So I want to make sure I'm in the right year. In 2025, we had a total of 183 properties that sold. And when we look at the median sales price here, that was a median sales price of $1,450,000, right? With 183 properties that sold. Now, let's take a look at where we were last year at this time. So if I adjust this to 24, you will notice we had 127 properties that sold last year. Now, that's a huge increase. It's actually like 44% more homes sold this quarter this year than the same quarter last year, which I think speaks volumes to the level of demand that we're seeing right now in the luxury market that you may or may not be aware of. So if you thought about buying a home, hey, there's a lot more to look at, but you've got a lot of options. But keep in mind, there's people that are looking as well. You're not the only one. So you can expect some competition on some of these well-priced, well-staged listings that come to the market and are priced well. I've seen some sell in as little as one day and for asking or better. So even though we're in this buyer market, you can still, as a seller, have that seller market experience if you position it in a proper way. So if you have any questions about that, I'm always happy to share with you my experience and the results that I can get from my clients. So feel free to send me a message or reach out. So I'm looking at the median sales price now here for 2024, and that was $1,500,000. So we actually did come down a little bit. We were at $1,450,000 this year versus $1,500,000 last year. So we're seeing those values, at least the median sales price, drop just a little bit there. And then I'm going to look at one more zip code. This is 85266. And in 85266, I'm seeing a very similar story. But just first to give you an idea as to what that area would include, you have Saguaro Estates, Scottsdale Heights, Belisara, Cinquedados, and then you have Terra Vita, the Boulders, all that area there. It's a beautiful area. And if you're not that familiar with this area, they actually just put in a brand new park off of Ashler Hills Drive where they have pickleball courts, basketball courts. It's just a really nice park for the community. It's a public park, so anybody can go there. Really, really cool. But if I take a look now and see just where we are in terms of activity, let me go back to 25 because I've been starting there with the other zip codes. So I want to stay consistent. This past quarter, we had 113 properties that sold in 85266, and we had a median sales price of $1,300,000. Now, if I compare this to where we were last year, you'll notice a similar, type of trend here. Last year we had a total of 81 transactions. So we went from 81 transactions to 113, and the median sales price last year was $1,290,000. We're at $1,300,000 today, so basically it's flat. But we actually, in this zip code, we saw a little bit of an increase. And maybe that's just because it's, including different areas that are generally a little bit more affordable. You can find some pretty good values, I think, in Terra Vita and Belisara. These are guard-gated communities that offer a tremendous amount of amenities. So just something to consider. So if you're thinking about buying, if you're thinking about selling, or you want to invest in real estate, and people often ask me, well, how's the market? And really, it depends on you. So it depends. If you're looking to buy a home, you're going to have a very different experience than if you were looking to sell a home. And if you're looking to sell a home, of course, you've got to do different things. So what I help my clients do is to take a look at the market, what the impact is to them personally, based on whether they're buying, selling, or investing, and help them to navigate, the just how the market is evolving. There's no such thing really as a good or bad market. It really just depends on your own personal experience. So if I can help you with any of those questions at all that you might be sitting there with, or if you want to kind of know where the market is, what the value of your home is in today's market, I'm always happy to help you with that information.